Disclaimer: this content is only for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. I couldn't sleep that night. The air felt heavy, and the ticking clock by my bedside only made the silence louder. I kept staring at the ceiling, my heart racing for no reason I could explain. Maybe it was the way things had been left earlier that evening, unfinished words, lingering looks, tension that clung like static in the air. I hadn't expected him to show up. I definitely didn't expect him to walk into my room at midnight. I heard the soft creak of the hallway floor before I saw the doorknob turn. My body tensed, but I didn't move. I knew it was him. The one person who had been on my mind constantly these past few weeks. The one I had tried so hard to pretend I didn't feel anything for. But feelings don't ask for permission. They sneak in slowly during late-night conversations, in the way he said my name, in the quiet moments we shared without speaking a word. He walked in like he belonged there. Like he knew I was awake. Like he knew I wouldn't stop him. He didn't say a word at first. Just stood there, eyes locking with mine in the dim glow of the bedside lamp. My breath caught in my throat. Part of me wanted to ask why he came. But the other part, the louder, braver part, already knew the answer. This wasn't just about tonight. This had been building for a while. His name is Ethan. We've known each other for years. Friends. Then something more. Then not quite anything at all. Somewhere along the way, lines blurred. I told myself he was just a friend, but I couldn't lie to myself anymore. Not when his touch lingered longer than it should. Not when I remembered the way he looked at me that one night at the lake, like I was the only thing in the world that made sense. He stood at the edge of my bed, unsure for the first time. I could see it in his eyes, nervous, hopeful, full of something he hadn't said yet. And I didn't say anything either. I just waited. Sometimes silence is the most honest answer. Then he took a step closer. And another. My heart thudded in my chest so loud I was sure he could hear it. What happened next wasn't planned. It wasn't perfect. But it was real. And in that moment, it was everything. But just as things began to unfold, something unexpected happened. Something that changed everything. To be continued. I sat up slowly, not sure if I was dreaming or if he was really standing there. The way he looked at me made it clear this was real. Ethan didn't speak at first. His eyes searched my face like he was trying to find something he lost a long time ago. I opened my mouth to say something, anything, but the words just wouldn't come. There was too much between us. Too many feelings left hanging, too many things we both pretended didn't matter. He took another step forward, then stopped. "Can we talk?" he asked quietly, his voice a little hoarse like he hadn't used it in hours. I nodded. My chest felt tight, like my heart didn't know whether to race or freeze. I moved over on the bed, just slightly, enough to give him space if he wanted to sit. He didn't. He stayed standing, eyes on me, like he was still deciding if coming here was a mistake. "I couldn't sleep," he said. "I've been thinking about you. About that night by the lake. About everything I didn't say." I looked away, suddenly feeling exposed. That night had been playing on repeat in my head too, the way his hand brushed mine, how close we sat, how it felt like something was about to happen, but never did. After that, things got weird between us. Distant. Like we were both afraid to admit what was going on. "You disappeared after that," I whispered, keeping my eyes on the edge of the blanket. "You stopped calling. You acted like nothing happened." He ran a hand through his hair and let out a breath. "Because I was scared. Scared if I let myself fall for you, I'd ruin everything." "You already did," I said, not meaning for it to sound so cold, but the words were already out. He flinched, but he didn't leave. Instead, he sat at the edge of the bed, close but not touching. We sat in silence for a moment, the space between us full of things we never said. "I messed up," he finally admitted. "But I never stopped thinking about you." I tried to move on, but I couldn't. No one else felt like you. His words stirred something in me, something I'd been trying to bury. I wanted to believe him, but I didn't know if I could. I'd built walls to protect myself, and he was the one who made me build them in the first place. I looked at him then, really looked at him. His face was tired, but honest. There was no game here. Just a guy who had regrets and maybe hope. But just as I was about to ask him what he really wanted from me, my phone buzzed on the nightstand. I glanced at the screen, and everything stopped. A name flashed across it. A name I hadn't seen in months. Ethan saw it too, and his whole expression changed. Ethan's eyes locked onto the name glowing on my phone screen, and I saw something shift in him. His jaw tightened, and the warmth in his eyes flickered. I didn't move. I didn't reach for the phone. I just stared at it, frozen, as the buzzing continued like a warning I couldn't ignore. It was Liam. I hadn't heard from him in over 3 months, not since the night he left without a real goodbye. And now, out of nowhere, he was calling me at midnight? I couldn't even begin to understand why. But Ethan clearly had his own assumptions. So he's still in the picture? Ethan's voice was low, but not angry. More like hurt. Disappointed. I finally grabbed the phone and silenced it. I haven't talked to him, I said quickly. Not since he left. He didn't say anything. He just looked at me, searching my face again for answers I didn't know how to give. And suddenly, the quiet between us felt different, thicker, heavier. Like something unspoken had just crawled in between us. I sat back against the headboard, the phone still in my hand. I don't know why he's calling, I whispered. Ethan nodded slowly, like he didn't believe me but didn't want to push. I don't want to be the guy who shows up late and then has the nerve to ask for another chance, he said. But I also can't just sit back and pretend it doesn't matter who else is in your life. I looked down. You were the one who left first. He flinched again, but this time he didn't argue. I could tell he was replaying all of it in his head too, every missed text, every ignored call, every second he let slip away while I waited, hoping he'd come back. I know, he said softly, and I've been regretting it every day. The honesty in his voice made my throat tighten. But before I could respond, another sound broke the moment, a soft knock at the front door. My heart jumped. We both froze. Midnight. A phone call. Now a knock? Ethan stood up quickly, his eyes suddenly sharp. Are you expecting someone? No, I said, just as confused. I threw the covers off and got out of bed, wrapping my arms around myself. The knock came again, this time more firmly. Ethan moved toward the hallway. I'll check it. No, wait. I followed him, unsure what we were about to walk into. The apartment was quiet except for our footsteps on the hardwood floor. When we reached the door, Ethan paused, looking through the peephole. He stepped back. It's him, he said. I stared at him, my heart thudding in my chest. Liam. Ethan's hand trembled slightly as he reached for the door handle, but he didn't open it right away. Instead, he took a deep breath, glancing back at me with eyes full of questions and warnings all at once. I felt a swirl of emotions, fear, curiosity, anger, and something I couldn't quite name. Liam was out there, waiting. And whatever this night was going to bring, it was about to change everything. The knock came again, louder this time, like a demand rather than a request. Ethan's fingers tightened around the doorframe, and I could see the hesitation battling with resolve inside him. I wanted to tell him to stop, to lock the door and pretend none of this was happening. But my body wouldn't let me look away. What if he just wants to talk? I whispered, barely daring to speak the words aloud. Ethan shook his head. It's never just talk with Liam. You know that. I did. More than I wanted to admit. Liam had a way of stirring up old wounds and memories I wasn't ready to face. But the truth was, I had left things unfinished with him. I had never really said goodbye. The hallway outside felt impossibly quiet, like the calm before a storm. I could almost hear my own heartbeat pounding in the silence. Ethan's hand finally moved, opening the door a crack, enough to see who was there but not enough to let him in. The dim light from the hallway cast a shadow over the figure waiting on the other side. Liam stood there, looking exhausted but determined. His eyes met Ethan's, and for a moment, the air between them crackled with unspoken tension. Then he looked at me, and I saw the pain reflected back in his gaze. "I didn't mean to scare you," Liam said softly, voice rough from months of silence. I needed to know if you were okay." The words should have felt comforting, but instead, they made everything more complicated. I glanced at Ethan, who was still standing firm, guarding the door like it was a wall between past and present. "We need to talk," Liam said, stepping forward, but Ethan blocked him with a quiet but firm "No, not here," Ethan replied. "Not like this." I watched the scene unfold, torn between two men who both meant something to me, and yet both carried their own shadows and regrets. I wanted to reach out to either of them, but I was frozen in place, unsure who I could trust, or even if I could trust myself. "Why now?" I finally asked, my voice breaking the silence. "Why show up after all this time?" Liam's eyes didn't leave mine. "Because I never stopped thinking about you. Because I still care." Ethan's gaze hardened. "You left. You disappeared. Don't expect her to be waiting." The air was thick with tension, charged with feelings neither of them knew how to express. And in the middle of it all, I realized I was the one who had to make sense of it. But the truth was, I didn't have the answers yet. The night was far from over, and whatever happened next could change everything for better or worse. Just as the tension between Ethan and Liam seemed unbearable, my phone buzzed again, making all three of us jump. This time, it wasn't a call or a message, it was a notification from social media. I glanced at the screen, heart sinking. A photo had been posted, one that featured me and Liam, taken weeks ago at a place we'd promised to keep secret. The caption was clear and chilling, "She's still mine." My breath caught. I hadn't told anyone about that night. Not even Ethan. Whoever posted it knew more than they should. The message wasn't just about Liam, it was a warning. Someone was watching, and suddenly, this wasn't just about the complicated feelings between the three of us. There was something darker at play. Ethan's eyes flicked to my phone, his expression hardening. "Who else knows?" he asked quietly, voice low but urgent. "I don't know," I admitted, panic creeping in. The calm night had shattered, replaced by a storm I wasn't prepared for. Maybe Liam's right. Maybe he's not the only one still involved. Liam looked as surprised as I felt. "I swear, I didn't post that," he said quickly. "If someone's trying to mess with us, they're playing a dangerous game." The air between the three of us shifted. What started as a love triangle now felt like a trap tightening around us. The trust one had begun to build with Ethan wavered under the shadow of the unknown threat. Liam's presence no longer just stirred old emotions, it brought fear. Ethan took a step closer to me, protective, his eyes searching mine for reassurance I couldn't give. "We need to find out who's behind this," he said, "before it gets worse." I wanted to believe we could handle it together, but the weight of everything pressed down. There was no easy answer, no quick fix. The photo, the message, the silence between us all, it was like the past and present colliding in a way I never saw coming. And in that moment, I realized that the real danger wasn't just the complicated feelings between Ethan and Liam. It was something else, something that could destroy all of us. The night stretched on, thick with tension and unanswered questions. And as I looked at both of them, I wondered if this was the moment where everything would break, or if somehow we could survive the storm that was coming. The silence that fell over the room was heavier than ever as we all stared at the phone, the social media post burning in my mind like a warning sign. But then Ethan did something unexpected. He pulled out his own phone and started typing furiously. I watched as his fingers moved quickly, searching through messages, calls, and photos. He wasn't just protective, he was determined to find answers. I tracked the post, Ethan said, breaking the silence. It came from someone close. Someone with access to your personal life. My heart sank deeper. Someone close? I thought back to all the people around me, the friends I trusted, the family who cared. Who could it be? And why were they trying to ruin this fragile moment between us? Liam's face hardened. It has to be someone jealous, he said. Someone who doesn't want us to move on. Before Ethan could respond, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was a text from an unknown number. You don't know everything. Be careful who you trust. Fear gripped me like never before. Suddenly, everything felt like a game with no rules, and the stakes were my heart and my safety. Ethan stepped closer to me, his voice steady but fierce. We're going to figure this out. Together. But then, the unexpected happened. As Ethan unlocked his phone, I saw a message pop up from a contact I didn't recognize. The message read, "Meet me tonight. We need to talk." It's about her. The contact name was M. My pulse quickened. Who's M? I asked, panic rising. Ethan hesitated, then looked me in the eyes. It's my sister. My breath caught. Ethan had never mentioned a sister before. Suddenly, all the pieces shifted. M has been worried about you, Ethan explained. She thinks someone close to us is in danger, and she's been trying to protect you from afar. Liam's face twisted in confusion and frustration. Why didn't you tell us before? Because I didn't want to drag you into this, Ethan admitted. But now it's too late. We knew what we had to do. That night, we went to meet Em at a small cafe on the edge of town. When she arrived, her eyes were fierce but tired. She handed us a folder filled with photos, messages, and names, evidence of someone trying to manipulate all of us. Someone who wanted to keep us apart. And then the final twist hit me like a wave. The person behind it all wasn't a stranger. It was someone I never expected, someone I'd been closest to all along. My world spun as I realized the truth. The real danger wasn't out there. It was inside the circle I trusted the most. The night closed in around us, but one thing was clear. This story wasn't over. Not yet. The truth hit me harder than I expected. The person behind all the secrets, the messages, the hidden threats, it was someone I never thought could do this. Someone I had trusted, someone close to me. The pain of betrayal mixed with relief that finally, the mystery was clear. Ethan's sister had uncovered the truth just in time, and now we had the proof to protect ourselves. That night, after leaving the cafe, everything felt different. The tension between Ethan, Liam, and me hadn't disappeared completely, but something had shifted. We were no longer caught in a web of lies and fears. Instead, we were facing the future together, uncertain but stronger because we finally knew the truth. Ethan looked at me and Liam, his eyes softer than before. This isn't just about us anymore. It's about trust in each other and ourselves. Liam nodded, his usual frustration replaced by a calm acceptance. Whatever happens, I want us to be honest. No more secrets. I smiled, feeling a weight lift off my chest. For the first time in months, I felt hope. Hope that love could survive complicated pasts, hidden fears, and even betrayal. The night outside was quiet as we walked back to my apartment. The streetlights flickered gently, casting long shadows, but inside, I felt light. I knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. Healing takes time, and trust isn't rebuilt overnight. But with Ethan and Liam by my side, I was ready to face whatever came next. Before we parted ways, Ethan took my hand and whispered, "No matter what, I'm here." Liam smiled, a little shy but genuine. Me too. I looked between them, realizing that maybe love isn't about choosing one or the other. It's about honesty, forgiveness, and the courage to start again. As the night closed around us, I thought about everything that had happened, the fears, the secrets, the surprises. Life is messy, but sometimes the mess makes the moments that much more real. What do you think about how this story ended? Would you want to see what happens next? Let me know in the comments. I love hearing your thoughts. And if you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new video. Your support means everything, and it helps me bring you more stories like this. Thanks for being here, and I can't wait to share more with you soon.